My study is titled Low External Workloads Are Related to Higher Injury Risk in Professional Male Basketball Games. The purpose of the study is to identify a change in injury risk based on a player's workload. The goal of the study is to determine the correct workload amount to lower a player's risk of injury. In-game data was collected on one NBA basketball team over the course of 3 seasons. In total, there were 33 players. All variables in this study are physiological load and intensity, offensive and defensive average speed, distance, mechanical load and intensity, accelerations, decelerations, speed, player efficiency rating, and usage percentage. Once all data was collected, a Wald test was used to find the variables most correlated with injuries. The Wald test is a chi-square test that identifies statistically significant explanatory variables. The 2 variables that were found to be statistically significant were distance and number of decelerations. During the 3 seasons, 29 injuries involving 11 players were recorded. The significance level was set at 5% for this test. The variables distance and decelerations, along with injuries, were put into a generalized linear mix model. Much like a linear regression test, this test is used to see if variables are associated. In the context of this study, the generalized linear mix model was used to test if distance and decelerations are associated with number of injuries. All probability values are less than the set level of significance of 5% and are statistically significant at the 1% level as well. The observers concluded that the lower workload a player has, they are at a higher risk of injury. This study is robust, but a few changes will improve it. One improvement would be increased randomization. I would suggest a stratified sample where 3 players from each NBA team were randomly selected to be observed. In this study, all observed players are from the same NBA team, which may be a flaw because a team's conditioner might change their player's risk of injury based on the exercises they have the player perform. Another change I would make is to collect data in-game and out-of-game to calculate an overall workload value. Usually, players that do not play much in games have a higher workload off the court than players that play big minutes every game. My last change that would strengthen the results of this study would be an experiment to go along with it. Again, a stratified sample would work best. The 3 players randomly selected from each team would be randomly assigned to a workload amount, either light, normal, or heavy. Data would be collected the same as the study, and comparisons between amount of injuries between the 3 groups would be done after 3 seasons. I think the conclusion of the study is very interesting. Before I read the article, I thought having a light workload is the best way to lower risk of injury. However, it was shown that that is not the case. In fact, it can raise risk of injury. Using the results from this study, along with studies that have found that a heavy workload increases risk of injury, conditioners in all sports can give their players a proper workload amount to prevent injuries.